So, I said I'd be going through the other equipment I'm taking, and well, for the first part, this is it. There's another one which will be a bit where I'm undecided. Right, so, bit I'm taking, a light meter. Yes, we know that modern digital cameras have amazing metering in them. Average metering, which takes the entire frame and just averages the whole light over them. Center weighting, which takes the center of the image and takes a proportion of that as being the most important, then looks at the surrounding area. And matrix metering, which attempts to compare the image it's seeing with thousands of images stored within its memory and work out which image it's suitable for, and then work out the metering. But that apart, for a professional who is working, has to get the images right. You know, who wants to take a load of shots, or even one shot, and have to look at the back of the camera every time to check whether the exposure's right? Yes, we can correct in Lightroom, Photoshop, Capture One, Camera Raw, I think, and loads of other programs, but get it right in camera, it's much easier. So, types of light meter. Old-fashioned ones were selenium. So basically you had a cell that, depending upon the level of light, generated electricity. The electricity drove a meter, literally a little meter which went across a scale like that. The old Western Master 5, the Western Euromaster, the Sekonic, one of the Sekonic meters does it as well. But then there came CDS meters, which were more sensitive in low light, but they had a problem whereby the actual colour of the light changed the light reading. So we're not talking about the level of light, but the actual colour. They were also, I believe, prone to being put off by, I think it was infrared, or it might be ultraviolet, but it was outside the visible spectrum. So, you know, you can't see that, but the light meter is telling you, you've got to be working at f11, when from the visible light, it should be f5.6. So then you get silicon chips, which took over, and every meter going works on a silicon chip. We have here 3 light meters, all made by a company called Gossen. They're German. I'm not even sure they're around anymore, but this is the Master 6. It was at the time their flagship meter. It does daylight and flash. You can have aperture priority, shutter priority, flash. If you're working really, well, it was designed for film, so, and if you were working on large format, you might have to, what we call flash the image, which meant opening the shutter, firing the flash, and again, and again, and again, to build up exposure. This thing will calculate it. Lovely machine, does its job. Smaller than this is the Multi 6. Again, it's a pared down version of the Master 6. Only does, the Master 6 will also do your measure in lumens, in candelas and everything else, if you're into that. This thing is just photographic. Brilliant. Finally, the Gossen spot meter. Look through the viewfinder, press a button, and it will take a reading of from a distance of your exact area. Now, this meter is only designed for a reflective meter. This and this will do incident readings. Let me explain. Your camera works on reflective meters. It works on the amount of light being reflected by your subject. Now, here we have a black and a white sheet of paper. I'm going to lay them on the table and take a light reading from both. So, the black one, half a second at f2.8, thirty of a second at f2.8. Now, that is what happens when you are trying to measure two different colour subjects. The other type of reading is an incident reading. This little dome here covers the sensor and is designed so that it will make the camera read exactly the light falling on the subject, not the light reflected off the subject, the light actually falling on it. We go down here, we take a light reading, and the actual light reading is just under f4 at a quarter of a second. So use that. That will come out black. That will come out white. And that's because you are actually measuring the light falling on it rather than the light actually reflected. Now, the Gossen also make this device. It clipped onto your meter. And made it into well, it wasn't a spot meter, they did make an attachment for that, but it just gives you a restricted angle of view for if you're working long distances. Again, it helps you, and you can adjust the exposure based upon your subject colour. Now, the final piece of equipment, which is a light meter, but not your normal light meter. It is this. Again, this one is very old, but it does its job very well for certain types of subject. But you've got to know what you're doing. Now, colour has temperature. You go up to ultraviolet, and it 12,000, 15, 20,000 Kelvin. You go down to infrared, lower end of the spectrum, and you're in the hundreds of Kelvin, low thousands of Kelvin. Daylight, as per the great god Kodak, is 5,500 degrees Kelvin. The lights which are illuminating up the top are 3,200, and the light that is attached to the camera, which is just about lifting my face, is 5,000. This device measures the colour temperature. Why is that important? Well, if you are doing a garment and it is red, you want to make sure it is red, not orange. and not blue. And I can tell you that illuminating it with the wrong colour will make a difference. Yes, you can correct it in digital. In days of old, you used filters and you used film. And the film, you had tungsten film and you had daylight film. But as I say, this little device, it only measures the red-blue area. Minolta made a device that covered both red, blue and green, so that was good. And there's another couple of companies that do them. Now they are colour temperature meters. Good ones are horrendously expensive, and for most people they're not needed. You can have what is called a grey card. Now this grey card has two functions. One, if you don't have an incident light meter, you can aim a meter at it and it will give you a decent reading, correct to get the black's black and the white's white. And also, when you put it into your computer, you can get your colour dropper, put it on the grey card, and the colours will snap into correct place. And then you can copy that reading and put it into all the other images and they go right. For some of my work, I actually deliberately do it wrong. I warm up the subjects. That is to say, I use too low a colour temperature. No, I use too high a colour temperature for daylight, and it warms it up. Not much, but that work is not actually colour sensitive in terms of it's not important. But for the people I'm photographing, they like it, it makes them look good, therefore it's a winner. It sells pictures, but that's because I know what I'm doing. Right, that's it. Oh, going back to the original point, what meter am I taking? Well, I'm going to take this one. It's the basic one. It's small, it's light, it'll go in the top pocket of a jacket, and it'll work. What do I make sure I take? Spare batteries. Good old-fashioned PP6 9-volt battery. So, that's it. Another one in a few days' time. Thank you for your time, folks. I would ask you to like my videos and possibly save the channel, because I will be updating you more and more, and you can keep in touch and let me know your comments. Thanks for your time. Bye.